This is my sad little playpen. A technically 3-car garage. Might as well be an attic.
And in 10 days, I'm gonna turn it into a highly functional, very average middle-class workshop place with insane amounts of light and some other things. And I'm gonna do it on the cheap, like cheap.
But first I gotta get rid of all this mess. Huzzah! I'm just kidding. We do really gotta get this mess cleaned up though.
There's Cadillac parts, stuff that no one knows what it is that hasn't been touched for years, my dad's 2-century collection of air fresheners, and a bunch of other random relics. Whose freaking crutches? Oh wait, my dad broke his leg. There's just a ton of random crap. I'm sure a lot of your guys' garages are like this, right?
This technically is a 3-car garage. That hidden behind there is a garage door. So the aim is to have 1 car there, 1 car here, and 1 car here.
And as of right now, 1 little Jeep barely fits. So before we go all crazy with the garage updates, we gotta organize and clear out.
Jacket out of here. I need that for Christmas.
There's just so much random stuff in here.
What is half of this stuff? These are mine. What is this? It's a walker of some sorts for what, a midget?
Organization is just not my strong suit. But clearly, neither is basketball. I'm gonna get the Jeep out of here so we've got more room to lay stuff out.
Finding some old relics in here. This was the sound system from the white Caddy, and I have the perfect spot for it.
All my oils and fluids take up space on this big shelf that we can use for other things, and they don't have to stay in the garage, so these will go on a shelf out back in the shed.
Since these have nothing valuable on them, take these down.
The ramps Dad and I built for the new lift are a bit longer than they need to be and kind of get in the way, so we're trimming them down, gaining us some valuable floor space. And the tedious organization continues. For days. Dusting and vacuuming all the corners that have been neglected for years past as I go along.
There's just so much stuff. Tons and tons of just stuff. Except for that cutie patootie. Yoo-hoo!
I put what I can in large storage bins, labeling them as I go. Now that we're making good progress on the organization / throwing stuff away part, I then decided to redecorate and repurpose some of these old license plates on the big shelf on the wall, which would end up being a complete waste of time, because later that night, I decided to make quite a drastic change to this whole garage plan. I had my brother Tyler come out and help me take some measurements to move it somewhere else completely.
That says pressure.
That says pressure?
Yeah, pressure washer.
This shelving unit sticks out a little far and makes it hard to work on one side of cars in that bay, which is the bay the lift's in. The lift moves, but this is the bay without a hanging power door opener.
And then you'll have 2 shelves, 2 at 17.5.
I concur.
So the next day, I start completely clearing off the shelves. I found a new, better spot for the bolt bins, because something else is going to be stored under that bottom shelf.
All right, now we've got the whole shelf mostly cleared, and now all the stuff is right here. So that toolbox, the shelves above that, I'm probably just gonna eliminate, and then we'll just move the toolbox over here. But now we have to clean up all of this area. I don't want to start disassembling this shelf until our new wall is ready for it.
So begins the clearing of the final untouched corner. Some of this stuff is gonna get tossed, and some's gonna be snuck into my brother's storage unit. Shh, don't tell him though. And once the back wall is cleared, it's time to start disassembling the shelves and removing everything hanging off them, including this makeshift extension cord holder that does a great job of getting caught on your clothing as you walk by it. We're gonna replace this in a few minutes with something much better. And now we can move the shelf to the back wall along with the toolbox and can start reassembling the shelves on their new home. I'm mounting up this little trick drill holder for the small impacts and a grinder. I'll put a link to this mount down below. While the shelves are empty, we might as well give it a coat of paint to freshen up the look. So that's what Ty and I are doing now. Wow, just beautiful if I do say so myself. Now I can start redecorating the shelves and refilling them with all the fluids and supplies I want to keep close by. No more just crap. Why use pegboards when you can just hang everything off screws drilled into the wood, right? I'm gonna drill a hole into the shelf below the power tools so I can mount all the battery chargers right there and run the cables together below to an outlet. So organized, so genius. Now everything that needs a home is clustered in the middle of the garage. So we're gonna move stuff to make room so we can tackle the next major flaw of this garage.
Now it's time for the fun part. Lights. I'm just kidding.
The main source of light in here now is these old fluorescent light tubes. These things are older than me.
We're gonna be replacing them with this. Barrina sent me their 8-foot, 72-watt T8 LED shop light. Actually, they sent me 10 of them.
To the tune of 10,000 lumens each? These should really liven this place up.
These things are going to be nuts.
I gotta get some more stuff out of the way so we can start to lay out and measure where we're gonna put our lights. I'm gonna mount them pretty close to the edges of the ceiling so that the light kind of bounces off and reflects down the wall. We lay out a chalk line so everything's straight and level, then Dad's screwing in the brackets that hold the light.
So you're just putting that line on there like that.
Okay.
Before we snap the first light into the brackets and see just how these things look. Cocky me didn't think I'd need a stool, so I stood there, arms up, for moral support. These things are bright.
Right. I think that's a good spot for them. Bring another 8-footer!
And it's in a good spot mounted close to the wall like that. So Dad demands the next light be brought out so we can fix it to the ceiling. We line where it should go, put in our anchors and brackets, and connect it to the other light using the connector cable, which is definitely a benefit of these Barrina lights. We don't have to run each one to power separately.
Wow, that's a lot of light.
There's only 2 in, and this place is already really bright. And we've got 8 more to put in. So I paced around looking at the ceiling like I had any sort of clue.
I don't know what to do on this side because that track's in the way.
So guess what I'm gonna do to the garage door track mount. I'm cutting off just a little piece that's not needed, so we can run the light between the beam and the garage door track. And as in Dad and Ty, took more measurements for the placement of the next light, I found a new spot for Dad's old bike, up and out of the way. Now Dad's putting in more anchors and screwing in the brackets, so we can install the third light.
Those are nuts.
And then the 4th and 5th. Completing this bay. Almost. We've actually got even more lights going in here, but we'll get to those in a few, because now we gotta make room in the other bay so we can install the rest of the tube lights. I found a new home for the little red toolbox, which was almost the floor. Ty takes more measurements, makes more chalk lines, and Dad drops the old fluorescent light to make room for the 9,000 times brighter and 9,000 times more efficient Barrina lights. The fluorescents are just old tech.
Holy dust.
One of these uses more power than all 10 of these Barrina lights. You can tell how old they are by the sheer amount of dust on them. Bah!
Little dusty. Holy crap.
Once I finished sneezing 800 times, we could measure, mark, and install the brackets to get all 5 of the lights installed in this bay. On these lights, we connected them together directly, butt to butt, because this bay is shorter. Now they're all installed.
Hey, are you ready?
Yeah. You ready? 1, 2, go. Holy crap. Look at how well spread it is, though.
Works out well.
Complete.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Everywhere there's light, though.
Here a light, there a light, everywhere a light.
Now, we've still got more lights to go up. But for now, we're going to install some pretty trick garage accessories that are going to make working in here a lot more efficient. And it starts with this. Now, as you guys saw, my extension cords were just hanging off a metal hook thing screwed to the shelf. It sucked, it was ugly, your clothes would always get hooked on it when you tried to walk by there. I'd constantly trip over cords that were lying all over the place. Then when I'd be on the ground on a creeper, the wheel of the creeper would hit one of them, it couldn't go over them, and it was horrible. And here is our solution. Vivor hooked me up with this, their heavy duty extension cord reel. This thing's got 65 feet of 12 gauge wire, which is the thicker wire that I need since I'm gonna be using it for my lift. I'm gonna be plugging my lift into it, running grinders on it. It's got triple female outlets, which are lighted, and I'll include a link for it down below.
And the mounting bracket it comes with can be mounted on the ceiling or the wall. I'm gonna mount it to the wall in the corner here. It's gotta go in a stud or anchors. 2 of the screws hit a stud, so I drill them in, make sure it's level, then install 2 anchors and screw in the final 2 screws. Then the reel slides right into the bracket and we're done. This thing is freaking awesome. Nice and tucked away. It's gonna save on so much clutter. What Ty and I are putting up now is also gonna help on the clutter. It's a handy dandy little cleaning station. It's a paper towel holder and shelf. Perfect for holding the hand cleaners so I can get cleaned up before going into the house. This thing was real cheap on Amazon and I'll link it down below. Now we won't be tripping over extension cords. We need to stop tripping over these, which is where these little guys come in. These are jack stand wall mounts. Why keep them on the ground when you can store them vertically in a corner? And if I can install them, anyone can. I'll include a link for these guys below. We just find a stud and screw in the mount with 2 screws, and the jack stand just sits right on it. It's gonna be so nice to not have these on the ground kicking around. I'm just mounting up the other 3 I bought evenly, and we're done.
This is perfect because it gets them up off the ground. Won't be tripping on them anymore. Now I just have to find a place to put these ones so I won't be tripping on them anymore. These ones are a tad bigger than those ones.
We'll have to find a home for those ones later on. Now I'm just hanging a whiteboard so I can keep track of who needs what in the collection. It's better than a piece of paper, looks nicer, and there's more room. Then I'm redecorating the wall with a cool neon clock my grandfather won, and then we've got even more lights to install.
Wow. And that's not even all the lights. That's right.
that is really big. That's right. Barrina didn't just hook us up with the LED tube lights. They really wanted us to see. We're also installing these, their newest lights, UFO high bay lights. These are 150 watt and 21,000 lumens each.
They're super easy to install, and I'll include a link for them down below. These are just plug and play. Dad and I pick a spot for them. We thread in a socket to plug adapter into the light socket. I'll include a link for this too. Then we find a stud so we can thread in our hook for the light to clip right onto. And when you didn't think it could get any brighter in here,
that adds a ton of freaking light. If I have the hood open,
All right.
it's right.
Now we want to be somewhat close to the other one.
next in the other bay, we just measure the distance from the socket that we did in the other bay, so they're even. Thread in the socket adapter in the hook, and try it out.
Wow, that's nice.
And that completes our lighting. It rivals the brightness of the freaking sun. Again, I'll include links to all these lights down below. Thanks, Barrina. Now moving the lift and ramps back into place before installing one final detail that I didn't entirely need. A TV in the garage, because Now I can watch some of my favorite movies, like Mia Khalifa Comes to Dinner, as I fix the Corvette. And now, the transformation's complete.
So the 4 lights that we had, which were all the lights we had in the garage, were off of this switch down here, which now controls the 2 high bay UFO lights, which on their own already more light than we had in here before, which is insane. But now when you go over here and press these buttons, that's right. These little buttons control all of the Barrina light tubes. So if I only want all the light in one bay, I can just press, I can just light up that bay or just light up this bay, which is pretty cool. And the way that I did this is just with, I'll go over here to show you. I just used these remote control light sockets from Harbor Freight. They actually come in a 3-pack. I'm only using 2 right now to run the Barrina light tubes. But I mean, it's just crazy, the insane amount of light in here. But the coolest thing is, yeah, it's super bright, but there's light everywhere now. Oh, who is that handsome dude? Wow, guy must be a model. Anyways, sorry. The craziest thing is where the light is spread to. Everywhere you go, there's light. Like I can work on here and don't need to have a light shining directly here. Every corner is illuminated, literally everywhere. Go in here to the bolts. Don't need any flashlights or anything. It's just incredible how spread out the light is with these things up. They're amazing. This bay wasn't really that crowded before, but now that we've got all the stuff off the edge there, or most of the stuff, we have more room. Now we've got our extension cord reel so we can pull out, bring it anywhere. I can drag it over there to use the lift. And then when I'm done, reel it back in. There we go. Got all the hand cleaning stuff up here. I can wash my hands before going inside and not make a total mess. I have my reminders up here on what to do, on what car to work on. But the biggest improvement, bar none, is in this bay. By moving that shelf over to here, we gained so much space. I mean, it was just a crowded mess. Now we can crouch down here, work on stuff. This isn't even where the actual ramps are gonna sit. I haven't adjusted yet for a car. I'll throw the vet in actually in a second to show you guys. All this room, don't worry about those. That's just some lights I'm messing with to try to illuminate under the car. It's a little experiment. Battery charger over here still, that's on wheels, so that can go out wherever, but that's not really impeding on any sort of workspace. Of course, the jack stands, as you guys saw, these things are awesome up here now. Still a little dusty. I guess I missed a spot, but I mean, just so much more room now. And we didn't lose any functionality at all with this. The bolt bins are now over here. I love that they're over here. And I love that the toolbox is on top of them because this thing just was covered in crap. Now it can't really get covered, and all of my safety gear up top there. Didn't move the compressor. That was always in a good spot. We've got the motor tucked away over here now with some of my dad's woodworking stuff that doesn't really come out too often. And then we've got this work area, which is like the main toolbox with, dozens of everything and a nice hardwood surface to actually be able to work on. Because before, there wasn't really any solid workplace where I could lay something out and hammer on it. I'd have to do it on the ground. So having this up here is really nice. I'm gonna try really hard to keep it clear. And because the bolt bins went over here, that meant we had all this storage under here, which Ty measured, and it fit perfectly. Stuff that just kind of had to float around in the middle, like the pressure washer, the blower, the shop vac. And sure, sticks out a little bit, but you can still fit a car in here. It'll probably just be a Jeep or something small. And then that door, I'll have to find a place for. Got all the pucks up here for the lift. And then This stuff floating in the middle here, this is where I think I'm gonna keep this stuff for now. I put all the welders, my plasma cutter, all of like the metalworking supplies. You can see the excess pipe from the MBRP from the 7.3. I've got the vise bolted here. Drill press, I can move that easy enough. We've got the grinder. I haven't really organized this too much, but I've combined all my metalworking stuff onto this cart, which is on wheels, a little propane heater. I'm actually getting a bigger heater. I'm gonna mount it on the wall over there. I actually already have the propane tank for it. Another rolling toolbox with just a bunch of stuff. And then the newest toolbox, this one's my dad's, but it houses all the impacts, and it's got space on the side for the map gas, what I use to clean up my garage at the beginning of the video, as you saw, and then more lubricants and stuff. This thing's nice because you can wheel it out to whatever you're working on. All right, now I threw the vet up in the air quick so you guys can see how much room is still in here with a car in here. And especially wanted to show you how much more room is on this side now. It was hard to walk through here sideways before when you had a car here. Now I can pull tires off, not be completely pressed against the back wall. Tons more room to work on this side, which is amazing. And here's my custom underlift illumination. As you guys saw, I was working on, it's just some light strips that I mounted down below here on the inside of the lift. So it's much easier to see when you're lining up the lift posts. And now you can actually see a lot more under the car with those things on. I just gotta figure out what to do with the excess back there. I can move these toolboxes over a little bit more and still have plenty of room for another car here. And a quick shout out to everyone who supported this garage renovation, Barrina, by supplying all of these incredible lights. I'll include a link for them down below. Vivor with the extension cord reel, the heavy duty extension cord that I needed to be able to run the lift, and grinders and power tools for however long I needed. I'll include a link for them too. Huge shout out to everyone who made this possible. But that's finally a wrap, just in time, because it's supposed to snow tonight. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Happy motoring.